And then I will open up my little PowerPoint. Something kind of exciting, something I'm excited to tell you all is I just signed up for a hormone health course. So I'm just really excited to go through that because although I know like quite a lot about hormones, I want to know like a lot about hormones, like everything I can about it, because I know it affects us women a lot, especially like in our very crazy, stressful lives that we have. So I'm excited to just bring more hormone info to you all and just better serve you in that way. So let me share my screen. So. Okay, so today we're talking all about skin. And Alyssa, I'm glad you're here because I know that this is something you've like picked my brain about, like, okay, what do I do with this? And like, what if I've done that and this hasn't happened? So I feel like it's appropriate for me to give you all the big picture on skin health. Because even if you don't necessarily have acne, if you, let's say, struggle with like textured skin or breakouts around hormonal changes in your cycle, or even things like eczema and psoriasis. Also could be things like maybe painful periods or PMS. These things can all be very related. So I figure even if it's not necessarily a skin thing that you're going through, this can still benefit you. And I think you'll also get an understanding of why Vegan Goddess is structured in many ways the way that it is, because I really feel like if I never had this experience of just being like so down about the condition of my skin, I would have never landed on healing and actually focusing on health and not only fitness. Because during the times where I was most physically fit, my skin was at its worst. So I've mentioned to y'all before that health and fitness are not the same thing. There are people that are very physically fit that are very unhealthy, like extremely unhealthy. And we would have, like, looking at them, you would think, oh, they work out and they do all this stuff, how are they unhealthy? But it happens all the time. So I want to run you through just kind of my backstory, my relationship with food and my body just growing up, because it's not like skin conditions just happen out of nowhere. It's usually a buildup of years of how we treat our body and things that we put in and on our body. And especially when we're like really young, we don't always think about what we're doing to ourselves. We're just kind of living, going through life and, just surviving the best way that we can in like weird times as we're changing and stuff. So growing up, I was very like into junk food. I just loved junk food. I'd eat it every day. Like, I feel like I basically worked just to eat junk food because my parents were always like, no, we're not going to eat that. Like, eat at home. And if you're going to eat it, then you go buy it yourself. So like I spent all my money basically on junk food. So I ate pretty poorly. And even once I started like becoming an adult, I relied heavily on like convenience food because I worked a very demanding schedule. So, and like I wasn't the type that was like meal prepping in the mornings and like, packing my lunches. I'm like, I'll just figure it out when I go. And I feel like I've always worked at like downtown locations. So things were always walking distance to me. I could always grab food on my lunch or whatever. And I would do that. Nikki, if you don't mind, I'm gonna put you on mute just so that.
Yeah.
No, you are totally fine, girl. And then of course, around like age 16 or so, I got on birth control quite early. In the beginning, I started with the pill, then I started doing the depot shots where they either like inject your butt cheek or your arm. And that's one of like the strongest birth controls out there. And I did that for like a few years. And then I eventually got the IUD once I would basically have like month-long periods, like spotting. And my gynecologist was always like, well, maybe it's because you exercise, or maybe because of this and that. She didn't really have an explanation. And I started looking up on forums, finding people were like infertile because of this depot shot. So I like freaked out. She put me on an IUD and she's like, well, if you're not trying, you don't know if you're infertile, so don't worry. But anyway, I was on birth control until I was in my mid-20s from age 16. So not that I'm saying that this is a reason why I had acne. It's a piece to the story, right? So I didn't have the best experience or the best history of taking very good care of my body or even really thinking about it. It was like, I'm just taking things a day at a time. I'm in my early 20s and I don't want to have a baby. I work a really crazy job. So that's just what it is. Now, I want to tell you where things took a turn. So I had acne since high school, like early high school. I even went on Proactive. It didn't work, and then they reached out like, wait, don't quit on. We have our new extra strength formula. It's a beta test. You want to try it? And I'm like, I'm down. This stuff like freaking burned my face off. I felt like, because when you put the little cream on, that like third step cream, my face felt like it was on fire. And I even had dandruff on my eyebrows. That's how like dried out it made me, but it worked. So I kept doing it. So another thing is like not listening to my body when it's like, hey, what the heck is this? And like still doing it because I got like the results, right? So I went to an iridologist when I was in my early 20s. Now, I don't think this is like a super well-known form of medicine. Basically, what someone does is they examine your eye, kind of like an eye doctor, right? Where they put like this really bright light on you and then they have this magnifying glass and they just are staring and analyzing. And dependent on the little spots on your eye and where they are placed will tell you a lot about your health. I thought it was so interesting. So when this person was examining my eye, he said, your lymphatic system is sluggish. He's like, do you exercise? You should start exercising. And I was like, I do exercise a lot. And he was like, well, are you eating things like eggs or dairy? And I'm like, no, I'm vegan. And he was like, what? And he was like, okay, well, I'm also seeing that your uterus is like inflamed. Do you have some type of like implant or something? And I'm like, I at the time I had an IUD, and I was like, yes. And he said, do you get your periods? And I said, no, not because of the IUD. And he said, girl, you need your periods. Like that's very, very like unhealthy. You need to get your periods. And he said, I need you to focus on your lymphatic system. And you might also want to look into liver health, because it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense if you have a pretty overall like healthy lifestyle. But he was also saying like, just because you're vegan doesn't mean you're healthy. And I was like, the hell do you know? But he was right. I just didn't want to admit it. So this person, I feel like, mentioned a lot right away about my health. And I was like, wow, this is just really weird. How did this person know? Like, according to my eye, it told him I have an IUD inserted. So this was a start where I'm like, okay, I need to take this thing out. I need to really take to heart what he said. Oh, see, Nikki says she went to one and said you have leaky gut and toxins that leak into your brain. That's crazy. And they can see so much. It's really freaky and really cool. Yeah, he gave me the whole laundry list of things that could be wrong. So what I did is I immediately was like, how do I fix this? How do I just like deep dive into lymph system, liver health? I need to get this freaking thing out and just go like hormone free or figure something out. So that's where this kind of all this started. So I don't know if y'all have ever heard of medical medium or Anthony William. He's not your like traditional person to talk about health because he's a medium. He's not like, doesn't have a medical degree, doesn't have, but his background is crazy. Like if you were to go on his Instagram, it's just thousands of comments of people that say, I feel so much better because of this. Doctors couldn't fix that. And I did this and now it works. So anyway, I'm like, it's worth a shot, right? But he said, believe it or not, the workings of your liver are up there with the most profound hidden miracles of the universe. I read all of his books and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to give this a shot. And it was when I started to implement a lot of the like protocols, I felt different. And turns out a congested liver can cause the lymphatic system to become overloaded too. So I knew I needed to focus on my liver. And that is why so much about our nutrition and what we do is focusing around your liver. Like a whole food plant-based diet is giving your liver so much love. So that's why, although it's not like I have this like vendetta against like tofu and Beyond and diet and stuff, honestly, it's great if you're trying to go vegan and like making that bridge, connecting that bridge, but it's not the most sustainable for your body, your health, and your skin. So let's get into like the actual things I did. Now, immediately I started to implement herbs, both loose leaf, tinctures, and herbal supplements. So loose leaf, if you were to go to like you probably could just even Google like Chinese medicine in my area or near me, or you can Google herbal store. Almost every big city has them. They have just containers of loose leaf, and you can kind of make your own blends or just get a bunch of different kinds. So I got a bunch of these on the left, these herbs, but then you can also get tinctures and blends, so that way you don't have to get them all individually. At least it's cool because a tincture, it might have a lot of these already, so you don't have to buy them individually. Same thing with an herbal supplement. But it's also fun to kind of mix and match. So herbs like echinacea, milk thistle, artichoke, kelp, peppermint, dandelion leaf, astragalus, burdock root. These are all really great, not only for your lymphatic system, but also for your liver. And you can have them in whatever quantities you want. That's like the beautiful thing about herbal medicine, is it's like pretty hard to overdose on it. Like, I don't know if that's even a thing. You can have all kinds of different tea mixtures, and it's super nice before bed. It's really great at also calming your body before bed as well. So I would drink tea pretty much every day and have a liver supplement every day as well. I used one called Solaray, but I don't recommend it because I learned that later it has like a higher concentration of heavy metals. So that's why I always recommend to you all the brand Gaia, because they're cleaner and just more conscious. So herbs were a huge part of this journey. Second thing is raw food. Raw food, like your life depends on it, especially the like very potently colorful fruit. So things like wild blueberries, spirulina, dates. Of course, I did things like celery, leafy greens, pitaya. If anyone ever uses pitaya, it blends in like the most beautiful bright pink color. So cute and pretty. Cilantro, apples, usually the darker variety, like the dark reds, are most beneficial for the liver. And I did fruit in the morning religiously. So in fact, what I did, I kind of did a cleanse in a sense, although I don't recommend cleanses when it comes to like fitness goals, because cleanses don't help you get fit, but cleanses can help your body make like a little bit of a reset. And I did the Medical Medium 28-day cleanse, where it's just raw food 28 days. And it's your job is basically to load up on as much like fruity goodness as you can. It was difficult, but it felt amazing. And I think if anyone's up for it, it's a good idea. However, you have to make sure that you're eating enough, which can be a challenge. So, and I only recommend you do it if you feel like you have a really compelling reason to. Like if you feel fine and you just like doing cleanses and stuff, I think like don't. Just eat a lot of fruit in the morning and get a lot of healthy leafy greens and stuff in your diet, but don't just do cleanses for the fun of it. I know many people do that. They just want to like cleanse all the time. And I'm like, girl, no, you don't need to. But food is the most gentle way to cleanse, which is why I love it. I will never do an herbal cleanse. It's just very hard on the body, even if it claims, oh, your skin will be better, your liver, blah, blah, blah. It's a very like unnatural way for your body to cleanse. But when you fill your body with fruit and leafy greens and stuff, your body is very gently cleansing in a way that's most natural for you. So these are some raw foods I would eat a lot. But of course, like there are so many more that you could eat, and the more the better, the more varieties, the better. And then also you have to consider like, what do you need to chill out on and get rid of in your diet or in your life? Things like soy. Now, soy, I want to mention again, if you don't have any reason as to why you should be questioning your current health, I don't think you have to just go and eliminate soy right away, but I do recommend minimizing it if you eat a lot of it. Because typically soy, I mean, unless you're eating it like an edamame plant, if you're having things like tofu, which are not as processed as many other soy products, they still have to be preserved and packaged, and you're still kind of taking in other stuff aside of just soy. And soy, similar to corn, is produced in masses, and generally it's very difficult to find like legitimate non-GMO organic soy. The same thing is like if you were to Google corn from like several hundred years ago, it looks extremely different from what our corn looks like now, because it's just gone through so much genetic modification. You're not having the natural soy or the natural corn anymore. So I think minimize it for health purposes, eliminate it if you feel like your skin really needs help or you have signs of your liver, your lymph system like having a hard time. So soy, corn, gluten, fried food. I didn't have fried food for like several months because I went super hard on healing my skin. High fat foods, even things like avocados that might not seem like a big deal. In fact, avocados are so healthy for you. But in general, foods that are high in fat are harder on the liver to kind of process and make sure that they kind of filter through the body. So the less fat is better while you're healing your skin. And this is not a forever thing. This is while you give your liver some TLC. Vegan meat replacements, obviously no animal products, because animal products aggravate the liver more than most other foods ever can. Things like eggs and dairy, red meat are like very, very difficult for the body. And it's just not, yeah, you want to get rid of those like ASAP, regardless of whether you have skin issues or not. Plastic. If you're drinking out of plastic water bottles a lot, if you use plastic Tupperware, if you are buying food that's packaged a lot in plastic, don't microwave plastic, especially. Just having plastic in your life, those leach and have to process through the liver, kind of leach into the body. And then of course, things like pesticides and herbicides, which in other words is like conventional produce, non-organic produce. So these are all like liver troublemakers. These are things you want to minimize as much as possible. And I know this list is kind of extensive. So just like how we did like the gut health workshop, this is not like a, oh my gosh, stop eating these right now or you're going to be very unhealthy. It's not like that. This is a journey. So as close as you can get to this, like kind of just weeding things out little by little and replacing with other things, you have to just really embrace this journey the same way that you embrace your fitness journey, right? Like you just have to accept that things will change and that you got to approach it with an open mind and just kind of see how they play out and allow your body to tell you if it's helping or if it's not. Now, final thing is the pill or any other type of birth control. I want to mention kind of like what I did here because I did get off of birth control, any hormonal birth control, and also things like with a copper IUD. Although there aren't hormones, it can still have a similar like type of, I don't want to say damage to the body, but there are still a lot of things about the copper IUD that is not the best. So what I ended up doing is I used something called the Daisy Fertility Tracker. It's basically a little thermometer where every morning before you get out of bed, you take your temperature and it basically tells you where you are in your cycle and if you are fertile that day or if you're not. So really, the Daisy Fertility Tracker was a really cool step in me understanding the natural cycle of my body. Because if you're fertile that day, it will beep red and say, hey, like you're fertile today. So, you know, like don't be having sex. And then if it beeps green, then you're fine. So that was like the alternative to hormonal birth control. But then eventually I just learned how to track my cycle. Once you become very in tune with your body will give you very clear signs of when you're fertile and when you're not. So it's almost like, I feel like we were sold to this idea that we need to have hormonal birth control in order to ensure that we are not risking pregnancy, but really your body tells you when you are not going to risk pregnancy and when you want to get pregnant. So I don't use any kind of like tracker or anything anymore. I just know how to read my body. And there are a lot of really great resources that you can find online or on Instagram that will show you how to track your cycle. And I strongly recommend doing that because I know a lot of women right now that don't know an alternative to hormonal birth control. And they think this is the only way and they feel stuck. So there are other ways. Now, always do what feels right for you, because I don't want to kind of claim like, oh yeah, this is so easy, anyone can do it. And then you try and then you don't have the best experience. And God forbid you have a pregnancy you didn't prepare for or want. So read up on it a whole lot before you take action towards this. But I just want you to know that there are so many women out there that don't use hormonal birth control and are not risking pregnancy. And I do believe that this is a strong factor in why I can be makeup free right now and not have like breakouts and skin texture is gray. And I feel like it's so cool to say that because I know where I came from and it was really bad and I couldn't even wear makeup on my face without seeing bumps under it and stuff. Like I was just always very self-conscious about it. So it was a lifestyle change. And then Vegan Goddess was born as a result of this. There's a reason why we don't have a lot of like, soy products and processed food on meal plans. Although, could you gain muscle and feel really strong and lose weight and do all the things you want to do with those things? Sure, but is it always helpful for the long term and where you want to go? Not always. Now, everything is fine in moderation. Like, for instance, now I'm not like, when it comes to these things, I don't have to be like as strict on myself because I did so much like TLC for my liver, and I feel like I cleared a lot of like blockages in a sense. So now I can be a little bit more like liberal with these things, and my body's okay. It knows what to do with it. But if I ever do notice like maybe texture is a little bit different, or I'm starting to break out a little bit more, I will absolutely go and like show my liver a whole bunch of love for a bit, and then we're good. So that's it, y'all. Any questions on anything I mentioned? Yeah, go ahead. Feel free to hop on audio.
Okay, so I am really grateful for this topic today because yeah, a lot of stuff that was brought up is stuff that I've been considering starting, like the Depot shot and the I don't know, like I heard a commercial earlier about like this online dermatologist, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? Like eating clean isn't really helping my skin right now because like my skin's like really disgusting right now." Um so maybe I'm just going to go back on like taking pills and stuff to help with it, but I mean, last time I was like on any medication for my acne, it like messed with my cycle and like I knew it wasn't good for my body. Like I missed my period for like 2 months because I was on this one pill. And it's like,
Um,
I know that this isn't the way to go about this.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I didn't even know what today's topic was. I just jumped in here and I'm like, oh, skin. I love this topic. Um, so yeah, I guess like on the herbs, because like that's the thing that I don't know anything about pretty much. Um, yeah. So would you recommend like just eating those, drinking them in teas, mixing them? I don't know if I know.
I don't think these herbs, I don't think there's a way to like eat them to where they would taste good. However, you activate the herb when it's in really hot water. So tea is always best. And it's cool because there's this little like a tea ball. It's like a little like kind of like a metal mesh ball where you like pack all of your herbs in there and you close it and just drop it in your hot mug. And like it just kind of seeps through because sometimes like with tea that you find in stores where they're in little bags, like the bags are made out of a kind of plastic, they have like an aluminum staple, and you're like also getting that crap in your tea. So I think if you're going to make tea, loose leaf is really cool, and you kind of feel like this like scientist putting all of your herbs together, and it's like really fun. Or just do like a tincture or an herbal supplement.
Okay. Um, and do you have any recommendations on like face washes or topicals?
Yes, you will be amazed that when you do the things mentioned here, like the topical doesn't matter. I know. But always like you want to go to, there's hang on one sec. It's EWG. Let me move this out of the way really quick. Environmental Working Group. They have an app as well. It's also similar to like the Think Dirty app. They rate products based on the amount of toxins that are in them. So let me see where you can do, because they have a lot of stuff. They're an entire organization. So I'm trying to find where you can find their products and stuff. Personal care. Okay, so if you were to go to personal care, you might want to just download the app because I don't ever use the, oh yeah, it's called the Healthy Living app. So maybe you can't do it on their website, but when you go on their app, it'll tell you all of the products that are the most safe, not just for your body, but for the environment too. And it'll tell you like if they're vegan and stuff. So I'm trying to see if you can do, oh, here we go. Okay, personal care products. They have everything here though, which is really cool. And also if you're just not sure what to get, they will even tell you which ones are verified of like being clean products. I use this a lot because yeah, I mean, not even if it's not about health, I care about brands that care about the environment, you know? So I just think these things matter to me. But like right now for like body care products, I really like the brand Billie, Billie. They are completely EWG verified. Oh, maybe I need to hang on here. So I really, really love this brand. They're actually a razor subscription, but they have a lot of stuff like face wipes, shave cream, body wash, lotions, and all of this. But what I really love is that they are completely, all of their products are completely verified as being safe. So that's why I am totally behind this brand. I also like brands like Function of Beauty for like shampoos and stuff. Also, they're really cute. That's like another, oops, that's another body care brand that I'm a fan of, and you don't have to leave to buy it. It's like super pretty and beautiful, and you can find fully non-toxic products on here. There is another brand called Attitude, also EWG verified, and they have household products like detergents and baby stuff, pet care, like so much stuff. You can get even like sample boxes, and they are all completely clean products. So these things will all help as far as topical, but you will find that when you take care of your body from the inside, it's so much more resilient to what you're putting on the outside. Now, overall, like these things do add up. Like if we're wearing like makeup and perfume, and then we have our hair care and our body care and our skin wash and all these other things, that they do add up. So I do think it's still important to find clean products. But there was no face wash that ever helped me. I mean, aside from like Proactive, but it was also like harming me at the same time. So some things are like band-aids, similar to when maybe our gynecologist recommends us to get on hormonal birth control to help like difficult periods. It's a band-aid. It's not fixing anything. If we're having difficult periods or we're having acne or other things, it's our body's telling us something. So we don't want to cover it with the band-aid. We want to heal from the inside out. So I just want to let you know that, yeah, you can get the most amazing skincare for acne, but it won't fix it. It's all going to come from the inside out. And it takes time. I know we've talked about it too. And I know it can be, trust me, girl, I know it can be so hard. It's just like, you can't hide your face, right? Like it's where everyone sees it. I totally get it. I've been there, like even in my 20s, like not even that long ago, I've been there. So I know how that feels. And I'm sorry that you're going through that, and I just hope that that this helps. And maybe find yourself an iridologist and be like, hey, tell me about my health, because I'm trying to figure it out. Any other questions? Did that help?
Well, I don't have I guess questions. I don't know. I'm like I don't really like suffer from breakouts very much, but I have like noticed this like weird like spotting on my back, and I was like doing my research, and I guess it's like something tennis versicolor. So it's like these spots, it's like discolored. It just looks like I have like sunspots or something like lighter than my skin tone. And I like got this soap, and I've like been trying to use like tea tree oil on it. I was like doing research, and I guess it's like, I don't know if it's just like from being like sweaty, or like I'll get like some type of like, I don't know if it's like a rash that I have, but like, I don't know. Like, I feel like if I just go to the dermatologist, they're going to like give me like a heavy steroid like cream to put on it, or like some type of medication that's just not like
Yeah.
gonna work, but I don't know, like, is this kind of stuff also work for that kind of like skin condition, or is this only like acne?
What I'm saying here, I feel like will help everything.
Okay.
Because it's helping your liver, and your liver is tied to everything,
Okay.
everything. So I think it wouldn't hurt. But there are also like functional medicine doctors where they're more focusing on the origin of why things start versus the symptoms. Like traditional medicine, they're focusing on the symptoms, and they also are trained in medicine, not in prevention or not in overall health. They're trained in treating a problem with chemicals of some sort. So I think it would still be beneficial to find maybe a holistic doctor or a functional medicine practitioner or even an iridologist, because of, those are really cool too. But just finding different ways, different people that approach health in different ways that don't just go towards medicine, because I would feel the same way. That's why I never did go to a dermatologist. I'm like, for what? So they can prescribe me something and I can just put a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah.
But everything's tied to your liver.
It's weird. Okay. And then I've had an IUD, like I'm on my second one, and I'm about to get my third one. Like I need to get it removed, and I was planning on getting another one just because I feel like it's like, this is like the easiest form of birth control, even though I absolutely hate the whole procedure. Like, I'm like cringing, like just thinking of like getting it again. And then I'm like, should I just like get it taken out for good? I'm like, I don't know. I've just been like, again, I don't really have like skin problem aside from this, and this just kind of started within the past year or so. I'm like,
as a friend,
I
I say take that shit out. As your coach, I say do what's right for you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, they already ordered it and stuff, but I'm sure I don't like absolutely have to like get it if I don't need it. But
yeah,
I
mean,
I hate getting it in and out. Getting it removed is worse than getting it in. I almost feel like.
Oh, I thought getting it removed was a breeze, but also I just wish everyone knew how easy it was to track your cycle.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm like,
this was so unfair that we don't learn this in school, that we don't learn about how to track our cycles, and we're told we can get pregnant on any day of the month, and that like the best way to basically manage our hormones is to be on birth control. The only way to prevent pregnancy is either like condoms or birth control. That is such BS, and it like kind of makes me a little bit mad that I had to learn this in my late 20s.
Yeah, I was on the pill for a long time, and then I had, I don't know, like issues where I had like a period for a really long time. It was like spotting for like months. And so then I just decided to do something with like less hormones. So I was like, okay, how about the IUD? And then my first IUD that I had, my period went away, which I guess is like normal for having an IUD. But then this past one that I've had, the second one, I've had it like clockwork, like, and I track it in an app, and it's just like, it's always on time and everything, which is so weird because I don't know why I didn't have it on the first one.
It's not a real period though, because you're not actually ovulating.
Okay.
And
then, what was I gonna say though? I don't know. But when I asked the nurse about it, she was like, oh, it's because you're like getting older and your hormones like they change, so maybe that's why.
Of course they would say that. Of course. I'm going to drop the link to that little fertility tracker. I feel like this was a really great way of easing into getting away from hormonal birth control, because I feel like we want to be able to have some kind of data on where we are and make sure we're not like being risky. So there's a link to it in the chat. I feel like it's really easy to use, really helpful. Yeah, and like be proactive about getting off of birth control if that's what's right for you. Yeah, like there are so many resources, and it's like, I was like, wow, it's this easy. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, I've never really like noticed problems from having it. You know, so I'm never like, oh, I need to get off birth control, because it's just like I feel better having it. I'm like, okay, at least I'm like safe, I guess. But yeah, that is true. Like just checking it would be fine too. I don't know. I guess maybe we were like all brainwashed to think that like we absolutely need it. And it just made me, I don't know. I think I started it when I was like 16, birth control. And I don't know.
You
been,
should
like, such a habit.
wait until you tell your gynecologist that you want to take it out and not replace it with something else. They will do everything to try and convince you not to. And I get it, because they're like, listen, I don't want you in here next month saying like you're pregnant. Like, I understand, but they were so like adamant, like maybe you should just take time, come back like next month. I'm like, no, take it out. Like they did not want to take it out.
Yeah.
So
well, mine
yeah,
is like up for like, it needs to be taken out. Like I've had it 7 years. At one point they said it would last for 5 years, and then when I called to get it taken out at 5 years, they were like, oh, now it can last for 7 years. And I was like, how does that work? Like, how is it all of a sudden 7 years? But so it needs to get taken out. I'm gonna get it taken out like next month or this month. But I don't know. They're supposed to call me when the new one comes in, but I'm ready to like call them and be like, actually, can you cancel that?
Do a lot of research on it first and really like have a strong opinion of how you want to do it. Like, don't be up in the air and then regret, like, I wish I just did it. You know, like be very firm in your decision on what you want to do, whether it be to leave it
mostly I want to get it out because I hate having like a procedure and like having to do that. It's just like it makes me really anxious. So I'm like, it'd probably be nice to just take my temperature and that's it.
Yeah. Yes.
But, and then I was thinking about plastic, and I was thinking about like when you drink from glass, like how even like glass water bottles have like plastic tops. And I'm like so hard to get away from plastic.
It's everywhere.
Yeah,
absolutely everywhere. But you could, if you were to like Google, there are brands that are coming out now that are really like about plastic free, and they might do like silicone instead, or just other materials that are convenient like plastic silicone, but not plastic.
Yeah, I know I have one water bottle that is glass, and now I'm like, is that top plastic or silicone? I can't remember.
Yeah, but that's still a step in the right direction versus having an entire, because at least the top is not always touching the water. It's just like the glass. So
well, and then like a hydro flask is like not plastic at all, right?
Right.
Okay, so I'll just drink out of that. I had like 2 of those. So I'm like
yeah, it's all about like little things you can do, because otherwise, I mean, like I know when I started this journey, I was like, holy crap, there's like so much I need to stop doing and start doing, and it can feel like a lot. So just take it a day at a time, and also like embrace the journey. Embrace just like doing things different for a while, and like taking on this new identity of a non-plastic using, non-processed food eating, fruit loving person that sips tea at night. Like it's cute. Like it's not a bad life, trust me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, most of the time I'm like, I'm just like super conscious about the environment and stuff. So every time like I think like something is quirky and weird, like I just like back there I'm like, I have like reusable like I don't use paper towels, like I get the reusable ones, and I'm like, and then if people make fun of it, I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I care.
Oh, I love that.
Like I care about the environment, like at least I care about something, like
for sure.
It's weird. Oh well.
I don't think it's weird. I actually know people that
I like the idea that it's cute though, because it is. It's cute to care about something.
It's cute to care. We should make that our like tagline. It's cute to care. Thanks for staying later, y'all. This is like stuff I love to talk about, and I'm glad that it was helpful. And you know, even if at the very least you guys do some more research on things like hormonal birth control and stuff, and find ways that work for you, and then this was all worth it. So thank y'all for being here, for staying later.
I just want to tell you guys, watch me and you will not want to have sex no more. Monsters.
Yeah, that's not in my plans ever. So not the sex part, the baby part.
I was on birth control since I was 15 years old, and it's like I got back on the IUD right before I had my second kid, but I was forced to get off because it really was messing with my hormones. Like I was getting like suicidal and my hair was falling out. I was just, and I took it out and I was a whole new person after that.
Wow.
Whole new person. But now it's like, I really have to get that app and track myself because I'm done with kids.
Girl, yes. Like, I'm telling you, you're going to be like, wow, this is all it was this whole time. So just to give you like a brief idea of how tracking your own cycle works, you only have about anywhere from like 3 to 5 days of where you're actually fertile in a month. But where it gets us, we think like, oh, so I just happened to get pregnant on like that small, tiny window. Yes, because if you think about your period maybe lasts you for like 5 days or 7 days, depending on how heavy your cycle is. But also, like, generally, we don't really feel our best the days leading up to it. We're like kind of cranky or bloated or whatever. So obviously, we're not going to be like feeling like ourselves and wanting to like get frisky, and same things like afterwards. Sometimes it takes a couple days to bounce back. So that's like a good third of the month right there. And then we have like our PMS like the week before, where maybe same thing. So it's almost like our period takes up a lot of the month if you don't have the easiest periods. Now, once you like really focus on the things I mentioned here, it's likely your periods will feel a lot easier and you're like, oh wow, like 3-4 days and it's gone. I don't really have a lot of PMS and like I bounce right back. So then you have your ovulation days, where these days are where you have the most discharge. So it almost, and if you are on a birth control right now, you probably don't notice this now because you don't actually ovulate. But when, like, although women naturally have discharge because our reproductive organs are self-cleaning, so like that's a very normal process. However, when on the days that you're ovulating, it will have a texture consistency of egg white. So it's like really easy to notice. You're like, okay, I'm ovulating. Like it's so easy to notice that it's almost like, how did I, but like many of you, like if we're on birth control since our late teen years, we never got to see that. Like, and who remembers what it was like when we were 14 or 15? So it's almost like learning our bodies for the first time once we are adults and don't want to be on birth control anymore. But once you do get off of the hormonal birth control, it'll be really easy to notice. And I've even talked with others, like others of you that are in the Vegan Goddess family, and they're like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what you're talking about. You mean like that's all I need to keep track of in order to not be pregnant? Like, yes. And the crazy part is our body, since as women, our bodies are very much like preparing all month long for ovulation and to bear children. Like that's when you feel most energetic. That's when you feel the most sexy. That's when you feel like the most like wanting to have sex with somebody. So like your body is pushing you to be like sexually active during that small window of time where you can be pregnant. So although it's like, how the hell does this happen when I can only get pregnant in these tiny few days? It's because of that. You don't feel your best when you're around your period. You feel amazing when you are ovulating, and that's why it works out that way.
Yeah. So it's just self-control is really all it's about.
Yeah. Or I mean, you can use like condoms or something during that time,
Nice to
because
out with men's birth control already, make them deal with it.
Right. Right.
They say
Just-
vasectomies are reversible, so they could really even get a vasectomy and still have all the kids they want later,
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not fair.
So not fair. But I think even like the whole learning about birth control and stuff, it has never really been fair for women.
Yeah.
Oh, and you're right about us not knowing our body, because from the moment we're sexually active, I know a lot of us are kind of like, I know my mom, when I told her, she kind of pushed me to get on birth control because she's like, you're not gonna have a baby before you're out of my house. So she's like, hey, you're having sex, or we're taking you to the doctor. And so right off the bat, I got put on birth control, and it was Depo. And then I actually got pregnant with my first daughter on Depo. And then
Wow.
yeah. And then my second, I was on Mirena for a few years. Well, for 4 years, I took it out because I wanted to, start living naturally. And within a month or two of taking it out, I got pregnant. But that's because I didn't know nothing about my body. So I'm still,
Man.
yeah. So I'm still kind of figuring myself out. But yeah, I don't want to get back on it. So thank you.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I'm gonna use it.
Of course. Well, I'll send you guys some resources too on what really helped me like feel solid about tracking my cycle, because I can get it like in the beginning. You're like, am I tracking this right? Like, did I do it right? Did I ovulate, or am I still, it can feel like nerve-wracking. So I'll send you some resources. I'll send them in the group chat. And yeah, if you guys have questions, you can always ask. I don't want to claim to be an expert. I'm not, but many people on the internet are, and they have like Instagram accounts and they post all about it. And I'm sure they would be good resources to even DM or ask them some stuff.
I heard about this book. It's I forgot her name, but she wrote a book on how to basically like conquer your whole entire life going off of your cycle. Like you said, you know, you're feeling on top of the world leading up to ovulation, how you can make that work for you with your money, with your business, with your social life. I forgot the book. I had to look it up again, but yeah, just tells you how
That
to,
sounds very interesting.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I'm gonna try and when you find it, let me know. I'm gonna look for it too.
Okay. All right. I will.
Well, this was a fun talk. Y'all have an amazing night, and I will see you tomorrow for office hours.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Hey, say bye.